Okay.
We're
So,
starting from.
Lamed Chesam Beis
Yeah.
about Kusi. I just was saying that the Gemara that says not that a guy is praiseworthy for learning Torah. The Gemara in says it's only the laws days of the Zionistas, but otherwise not allowed to learn Torah. First talks about the other Gemara later on that talked about teaching a guy that you're not allowed to teach a guy, and that place says in our Gemara the case will be that they were forced into it or the goyim disguised as if they were gerim. Okay. So up to the din of Kusi, we had a din of a goy. The first Gemara was about a goy, and it said that even though it didn't have been the same law as a Jew, that if you're mazik them b'chayiv, and if they're mazik, they also have a din of chatzi nezek. But because they didn't do a zayin mitzvah, so Rabbi Yata goyim that Hashem permitted their money, and now they're both ways that they became more chumrah in both ways. That when you're mazik them, you put them. Hashem was marking their money, and when they're mazik, the chayiv nezek shalem.
So they lose their credibility as Jews.
I didn't talk about a kusi yet. I just was introducing about a goy.
Okay.
And now we're going to go into a kusi. So let's make it bigger. And let's introduce that by Jew, the din would have been that when you're mazik Jew Yechayiv and the Judah is mazik, it shows mazik, so the time is chatzi nezek and wood is nezek shalem. And by goy, Hashem made a knas on them because they didn't do the same mitzvahs b'nei Noach. So Hashem made that they should be lose out in all ways. If you're mazik them, you put them. If they're mazik, the chayiv nezek shalem. That was yesterday's Gemara. Now the Gemara continues with kusi, with Shamronim, and Pinchas told us that there was such a kehila, a pretty big kehila, until recently. They have their own rules. He was saying he's come back soon that until recently they did not marry goyim, and that's about 5-6 years ago they started marrying goyim. They would mark them not to marry Jews and not to marry goyim, only married within their own community.
Oh wow!
And there was a story 25 years ago that one of them married a Jew, and that made a big tumult over there. And now about 5-6 years ago they started marrying goyim. So, okay, there's such a kehila of Shamronim, that one calls them Kusim. Okay, so now we start the study of Kusim. Tanu Rabbana. This is Alam. You sorry? Tanu Rabbanan. Shoshal Yisrael. Shenoga. This is the study of Kusi now. What kind of thing do they have? Are they Jewish or are they going? That's going to be the sugya of this subject. So here it says that a kusi shor that if you were nogeach a kusi shor, potter. So far sounds like a god, because if a kusi would be a Jew, he'd be chayv, he'd be mazik their shor. But if a kusi shor damaged the Jewish shor, tam b'sham chatzi nezek, word b'sham nezek shalem, which means he's considering him like a Jew. So this seems to be self-contradictory. The Tanna Kamma seems to be self-contradictory. Very interesting that the Gemara is not going to discuss the Tanna Kamma. The Tanna Kamma seems right away to jump up. How could it be? If he's Jewish, so then he should be chayav if you mazik him. And if he's a goy, then he should have to pay nezek shalom if he's mazik. So, and very interesting that the Gemara doesn't discuss Tanna Kamma, and Rashi is going to tell us, based on the Gemara, what the Gemara is going to talk about Rav Meir. Rav Meir is going to be problematic to the Gemara. And after the Gemara finishes, Rashi is going to come back and tell us that that's what the Gemara knew the whole time in the Tanna Kamma. So we'll come back. Right now, Tanna Kamma doesn't make sense. Self-contradictory. Is a kusi like a goy or like a Jew? But Rav Meir Omer, Shosha Yisrael Shenogach Shoshal Kusi Potter. That sounds like he's a goy. Bishal Kusi Shenogach Shoshal Yisrael Ben Tam Ben Mur B'Sham Nezek Shalem, also a goy. So Rav Meir is consistent with himself that he makes the kusi like a goy. That if you mazik him, his shor you potter. If his shor is mazik, so then he's chayav nezek shalom. That sounds very good. That makes sense. It's like a guy. But the Gemara has the end of the brisa. But the Gemara's problem with their mayor is that he contradicts himself someplace else. That the Tanna Kamma contradicts himself right here, self-contradictory. That the Gemara doesn't have an issue with. But that their mayor contradicts himself someplace else. Here he says that the kus is like a guy, and that's going to be the kasha from someplace else. The Memra, the Sabra Meir Kusim Gerium. What are you saying? The mayor holds that the kusim are not true Gerium. They're not authentic Gerium. They just became gay because of the lions, like it says in the pasuk, and Jews. From another Mishnah, where a mayor over there seems to say that they are considered Jews. So this goes to Thomas Nida. Thomas Nida, one of the halacha about Nida is that the blood itself is tummy. Besides the woman becoming tummy when she has a menstrual period, when she has blood, but menstrual blood, but the dam itself is tummy. Dam anita is tummy. And then the question is, if you find a rag, a ketem, you find a rag that has blood on it, is it dam neither? If it's dam neither, so it's tummy. So here it talks about kolak summon babam yakim tahorin. So the introduction is that a Goyish woman doesn't have to masnida, so the blood of a Goyish woman would not be tummy. The blood of a Jewish woman is tummy. So here it talks about Rechem, a city called Rechem, with the question over there, who are those people? Everybody knows that in Rechem, the people over there acted like Goyim, but the question is if they were really Goyim or they were really Jews. Tanna Kamma says that all the Ksamim, all those rags that you find that have blood on them from Rechem are Tahor because they're from Goyim. They're Goyim. They really are Goyim. What happened over there? They think that they're not, they are mistakenly acting like Goyim, but they're really Jews. So, okay, that's the question about Rechem, if they're Jewish or if you know for sure that it's coming from Goyish city, you find the Ketem in a Goyish city, so it's Torah because Goyish Sama Torah. Tam leader is Torah for Goy. Ben Yisrael, Ben Akusim, Rabbi Metame, Bachacham Metarin, Shalom Nechshedu Al Kismehen. So here it says that if it's from the Jews, so it's Tameh. And Kusim also is Tameh. So that's how Rabbi says Tameh. So that's really what the most kasha that he says that the Kutim are not Goyim. It says the Kutim are Jewish, because if it would be Goyim, then the Samim would be Tameh. I'm sorry, if they would be Goyim, the Samim would be Torah. Here it says Rabbeim Tameh. That's really what all the Gemara wants from this whole issue, is that Rabbeim says the Samim of the Kusim is Tameh. You see, they're Jewish. But let's to finish the subject over here before we go on to the Torah. The Chachamim say that if you find the Kesem in the Jewish community or in the Kuti community, so it's Torah. The question is why? In the Jewish Kesamim are Tameh. The answer is that they're not chashut to mafka them. They don't leave it around in the street. They don't throw in the garbage dump in the case where it could become Tameh somebody. So it's true. If you know for sure that it's from a Jewish woman, so then it's Tameh. But here it's talking about, like the Gemara explains over there, that Nimsu, some of them were found. If they're found, so then the Jews would not have let it become hefker. They wouldn't have just put a tummy beged in the place where people would become tummy. And the question about kusim, if they would leave it or not. But anyway, it says openly over here, both Rabbi and the Chachamim, both of them hold that the kusim are Jews. So that's a contradiction between Rabbi and Rabbi Meir. Here Rabbi Meir said that they're goyim, and here Rabbi Meir says that they're Jews. That's the most contradiction. And Rabbi Vo, Knas Kanas Rabbi Meir ben Mamonam, Shaloi Tamu Bahen. So it's a Knas. Really, Rabbi holds that they're Jews. If they're Jews, that's why the Adam is Tamei. How come by the nezek of the show we consider him a goy? Because we want to make that there shouldn't be assimilation. We don't want that the kusim should get assimilated amongst the Jews. We want to keep them separate. So we made them separate. We treated them like goyim. They're going to separate themselves also. They're going to say, treat you like a goy. And if I damage me, you're going to be putter. And if I damage, I'm going to be chayiv. So I'm going to be chayiv as a shalom. So that's why they made them to be like goyim in order to keep them separate. So the more is happening with our mayor. And the Gemara still doesn't go back to the Tanna Kamma. Tanna Kamma is not a problem. Let's finish off the Gemara, then we'll go back to the Tanna Kamma. Masav Reb Zera, another contradiction. They will now sheish them kanas, abala mamzeres, abala nasina, abala kusis. This is Reb Meir talking. And it says that we know there's a din of onus and lefata, that's a knas to pay if a man is honest a woman. Here it says that which now is have knas, mamzeres, nasina, and the kusis. So what's negated to our subject is a kusis. It says that if a man was ma'anis, kusis, he's trying to pay. But if you hold, now back to are the going or Jews? If they be going, they wouldn't be high. But that's good. We figured out Ray holds that they're Jews. They are Jews. So now the question is, if they're Jews, so then high. Good. But you said a second ago that when it comes to money matters, we want to make that they should be considered goyim. In order to keep them separate, we made them like goyim. Please talk about the that they should not get their payment. Really, when a guy's ox gets damaged from a Jew, really should pay him. How come you don't pay him? In order that they should separate themselves, they should show that, oh, you consider us goyim. So here too, how come Rameir said that you have to pay knas to a kusis girl? You should say that they're part there, and therefore they'll see that we consider them goyim and they'll separate. Over there also, we should have made a knas that the honest shouldn't have to pay in order that he shouldn't get assimilated amongst the Jews. They don't want to be amongst the Jews. Next page. Hello. The sinner shouldn't gain. Means what are you going to do? This person was honest a woman. He raped a woman. And you're going to say that really has to pay. but we want to say that he shouldn't pay in order that the kusum should stay separate. But then the man is going to sin. He'll be honest. He'll rape, and he won't have to pay because we're going to consider them goyim. If he rapes a goy, so she's really a goy. He's raping a woman who's really Jewish and really he should have to pay, and now he's not going to have to pay because we made a knas in order to keep the kusim not to be assimilated amongst the Jews. But this sinner is going to gain. So therefore we didn't take it away. The Mars Akasha of an Esvei maybe make a knas that he has to pay, but he doesn't have to pay the kusis. He should pay the give the tzedakah. The answer is because there's nobody to demand it. It means it wouldn't be practical to make a knas that someone has to give money to tzedakah. There's nobody to come and demand it. The ani, each ani, he can say, I'll give it to a different ani. There's nobody to take to court. The ani can't take anybody to court. That's the end of it. And it's surprising when he leaves us hanging about the beginning of the brisa. The Tanna Kamma doesn't make sense, but Meir makes sense. After the Meir says he's a goy, you have a kasha for someplace else that is not a goy. They made a knas to make him like a goy over here. The kasha is that the Tanna Kamma self-contradictory. He says on one hand that if you mazik the kusi potter, if he's mazik, he pays chatzin nezek. That means he's like a Jew. So at the beginning you say that he's like a goy, then you say that he's like a Jew. That's a contradiction in the Tanna Kamma itself. So Rashi takes care of this. Rashi says that we know what the Gemara is going to say about the knas. That's sure it's only a knas. Really, they shouldn't get paid. And all the knas is make when we mazik them, you put it. And he holds it, that's enough of a knas. Rameh is going to, the Gemara didn't know that Rameh is a knas. The Gemara goes to explain Rameh also because of a contradiction. Or else he would have said Rameh simply that they're like goyim. But you can't say that because somebody else says Jewish. So you say here a knas. The Tanna Kamma also, the Gemara knew the whole time was a knas. But the knas wasn't such a big knas. The knas was a small knas. Just to make that we're put there for mazik them. But if he's going to be mazik, we're not going to make the knas so much to make yes to pay nezek shalom. So already be insulted. The fact that the knas is that he put the mazik him. They didn't have to make the knas that he should pay nezek shalom. He's already going to be insulted and he's going to separate from the Jewish community, which that's what he wanted. So end of the sugya, and what comes out, we know that just the chazar over the whole thing about a goy. A goy Minadin is included in the parsha of Nezaken, and if you mazik him, he should be chayiv. If he's mazik, he should pay chatzi nezek shalom, chatzi nezek for a down. But Chazal made a knas to keep him. Is that true? Chazal made Hashem made a knas. Hashem made the Torah made a knas, whatever, because we're by Yatagam, because they didn't do the Shem Mitzvah B'nai Noah, or because they didn't accept the Torah by Sinai, and therefore, if you mazik, you go your potter, and the go this mazik, based on nezek shalom, even the first time, on both hands. The Torah is not around the goy. The kusi, you can blow this in machlokes if he's a goy or a Jew. If he's a goy, then he's a goy. Anyway, he has all the chumras already that he would you'd be put if you mazik him, and if he's mazik, you pay nezek shalom. There's the issue. Even those who hold that he's Jewish, if they made a knas in order to separate them from the Jewish community, and Tanna Kamma says the knas was enough to say when you mazik him, you putter. But when he's mazik, they left it on the din that he still pays chatzin nezek, or maybe even a bigger knas. That when he's mazik, he has to pay nezek shalom. Okay, that brings us to Lamed Tesamad Aleph and Nusad. Shor Shal Pikeach. Shenagach Shor Shal Chemesh Shor Tevakota. Pikeach means a regular man, a man who's smart, which means that he's an adult. What do you say? Smart means that he's not a shota. Intelligent, an intelligent adult Jew. So that's a regular shor. That's chayiv. The owner is hard to watch it, and if he doesn't, he's chayiv. But the victim was a shor for shor Tevakota. So Yechayiv to be Mazach Shor Tevakota. So Shor Shal Pikeach Shenagach Shor Shal Shor Tevakota chayiv. Yes, Yechayiv if you mazik a katan. Same if you mazik his goof, you mazik his mom, and also Yechayiv to pay. How about the opposite? Shal Shor Tevakota Shenagach Shor Shal Pikeach Potter. So why would it be potter? Because the katan's potter. Katan Pigiyos and roll. He's potter if he's damages. He's potter if his shor damages. He doesn't have to wash it. He doesn't have the responsibility to watch it. So far, it seems pretty simple. Now, shor shel shemaga bezdin mamida lan apotropos or mamida lan b'fnei apotropos. If a shor of someone who's potter, the shor tepakatan, he gored, so bezdin makes an apotropos, a guardian that now he's responsible to take care of the shor. Usually, a guardian is to make sure that the won't get damaged or something like that. Take care of his things. But here there's also an issue that he shouldn't be mazik others. So Mamid Rabba and Apotropos, and somehow that's going to protect that the shor shouldn't gore others. Apotropos means you warn him, in front of the apotropos, the word meidin means in order to make him into a muad. That's what the word meidin means. You're warning him. You're warning him to make him a muad, b'chora. So interesting. We're not sure yet what the Mishnah means, but it does say that Besdin gets involved. Really, the katan is not responsible for a shore, but Besdin gets involved in order to make that there should be more watching, more guarding the shore, that it shouldn't be hefker and be mazik everybody. What do they do to make an apotropos that's now going to be in charge? Does he have to pay? Does someone have to pay? As a tam, as a muad, not so clear. But the words the mission uses is me'idim lem b'fnei. So it means that you warn him. You warned the apotropos. You me'idim lahen. You warned the yisomim in front of the apotropos. Means warning them is nothing. It means the apotropos is going to be warned now that he has to watch the shore, and that sounds like there's going to be payments if he's mazik. But does that mean only as a muad? How about the first times that he's mazik when he's still a tam? So we'll have to see the Gemara about that. Also, there might be contradiction because the Mishnah beginning says pater, and now it says that you can make an apotropos and he's going to pay. So the Gemara's going to talk about all that. The Mishnah continues, that the situation changed, that this not bardas became a bardas. Either the cherish became now intelligent. He was till now he was a cherish. He was deaf, dumb, and he was shota, and now he's became intelligent. The shota became intelligent. The katan became an adult. He's intelligent. So it sounds, so it's talking about after they made an apotropos. It's a continuation of the case. This shore of the chesed of the katan was warned in front of an apotropos, so it became a muad. And it sounds like it's a muad as long as the katanim is still a katan, it's a muad, which means that there's going to be a payment forthcoming, because they did warn the apotropos. But now that it changed status, the cheresh, let's talk about a katan. The katan became big, katan shehigdil. So machlokis, if he still retains the status of a muad, Rabbi Yossi says Rabbi Chaskasa remains a muad. Once they gave him hasra, they warned him hadah in front of the apotropos, he remains a muad even after the katan becomes big. And Rabbi Meir said no, even though he's a muad as long as he was a katan, but once the katan shehigdil, now he comes back to a tam. So the Mishnah needs a lot of explanations still. The general idea that the chesed of a katan is part of the mazik, but Bezdin does get involved and makes an apotropos, which is going to make them chayiv, something about a muad. And then there's a change status when the katan becomes big. Those are the three subjects about a katan. And the first one, of course, there's four. The first issue is that if you mazik a katan, you surely chayiv. That's nothing to talk about. That was the first thing in the Mishnah. If you mazik a katan or his rechush, so you chayiv. But then there are 3 points about the katan being chayiv for his shore. First, it said that he's pater. Then it says Bezdin makes an apotropos in order to warn him. And then it talks about if it changes back to its tam status after the katan becomes big. And Rabbi Yossi says it doesn't change. Rabbi Yossi says it does change back to a tam. So the Gemara will talk about everything. There's a new Mishnah here. The printer printed it together, but there's no shaykhs at all. He would have printed it a couple of pages later. That sounds like it's stadion, which is the same word as a stadium. That's the Greek or Latin word. A stadium ox, which means that they have what do they call it nowadays? Rodeo. Yeah, what are they trying? They're trying to kill the ox, and whoever kills first. Right? Does the ox kill the man? Does the man kill the ox? Does the man get killed sometimes by the rodeo? Yeah, they get killed. People are working nefesh to. People are most nefesh to have this game.
In Spain, they have a bull run, and in Mexico and South America,
and people get killed.
Yeah,
amazing.
That's what people. If no one ever got hurt, people wouldn't come to watch.
Oh wow!
Say a bullfight.
Okay, hard to understand.
A bullfight.
Is hard to understand. What?
A bullfight, not a rodeo.
Bullfight.
A bullfight. A bullfight. A real fight.
Yeah.
And
the bullfight sometimes.
Okay, people are like it. So Shara Stadion. Now we killed the ox one. Matador. Sometimes he gets killed. Okay, and here he got killed. So now the question is, do you kill the shore? A shore that kills a human being is chayiv misa. You kill the shore. So here it says shore stadion en chayiv misa. Shenemar kiyach. The specialist talks about that he gores on his own. But lo sheyagichu, not that they provoke him in order to gore. So the shore is not chayiv misa. The shore belongs to somebody, and he invented it, whatever. That's the game over there, the bullfight. So he has his shore, but the shore is not chayiv misa if he killed, because they provoked him to kill. We had a sugi before. Tosis talks about in Chavdalit. Over there, talked about the Mashasa Kalba Shachavera, of somebody incited a dog to bite. So over there talks about question if the Balak Elav is chayiv, does he have to take into consideration that maybe his dog is going to be incited by somebody. So Tosis talks about these two Gemara. So our Gemara says it's not chayiv misa. That Gemara talks about that maybe a question, maybe the owner of the dog or maybe of the ox, that he has to realize somebody could incite him to gore. So the two sugis might be contradictory. Maybe you have to reconcile something over there. But here it says not chayiv misa. But this is a new mission which we're not going to talk about today. I don't know. We'll see tomorrow if we get there. But it's a separate mission, not relevant to us. Again, the beginning where it talks about a katan, a shor v'cher shor tevukatan. So the Gemara starts. How good pakasha? The mission seems to be inherently contradictory. Amit shor shel cher shor tevukatan shel nagach shor shel pikeach potter. First it says that the katan is potter. The katan has a shor that's mazik. He's potter. That sounds like you don't make an apotropos. The Tosis says that, of course, if there's no apotropos, it's pashut. I would have thought that that's what the Mishnah is saying, that he's potter until you make an apotropos. And that's pashut, really. And that's what Tosis says. It's so pashut that the Gemara thinks the Mishnah must be saying something. It must be saying a chiddush. So it must be saying that you don't make an apotropos. That a shor, tam, you don't make an apotropos, that to make him responsible for paying as a tam. That's what the words mean. We don't make an apotropos for a shore tam that should cause you should be able to collect from the goof of the shore. That's what it says, that the shore is potter. Means that we leave it as state of potter, we don't get involved, and we leave the shore without having an apotropos to make him responsible to pay for the damages it does as a tam. But then the Mishnah says, you do make an apotropos. Ein lo sefer. Shor shel cher shor tevukatan shel nagach. Bezdin mamidin have apotropos. Umidin have apotropos. It says Bezdin does make an apotropos for the shore. It does say that you warn him. The Mishnah doesn't say that he pays. It says that you warn him to make him into a muad. And the Gemara thinks that it means not only to make him into a muad, also they should pay for the negichas that he did as a town. Alma mamidin have apotropos latam. Ligvos migufo. The Gemara sees that as a contradiction. Doesn't Bezdin get involved to make him apotropos that they should be chayiv to pay as a town? Amar Rava, Achikitani, the Vuchsakuna Khanim, Mabidon Lem Apotropos, Umaidon Lem Bifne Apotropos, Umashvin Luhumuad, the Chihad Abenagach, the Shalom Aliyah. So Rava says that the Mishnah is not talking about making an apotropos in order that he should pay as a town. The whole purpose of making an apotropos is only that he should pay once it becomes a muad. For the kichas he's going to do as a town, we're not going to make an apotropos that should make him responsible to pay as a town. But we are going to make him warn. We're going to warn him 3 times. Tosis points out that it's going to be together machlokes of Luda 2 and Luda Gavra. Is it enough now to tell the apotropos? You invite an apotropos. We'll see soon why he's going to accept the job. But you invite the apotropos to be guardian, to be responsible, that it shouldn't gore others, and you tell him you should know that this short got gored 3 times already. So does that make him a muad? So really, the Gemara question about this. The 2 or the Gavra, is it enough to tell owner that you should know that you tell him on Wednesday, you should know that we got reports that this gore short scored on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So you should now know how do you go? 1, 2, 3. We tell you all on the same sitting that your shor is now going to be a muad. If it's going to happen the 4th time, you're going to have to finish as a shalom. The Gemara had a question about that. It wasn't so simple. It could be that it only comes a muad if the owner was warned and he expressed the warning to ignore the warning, sure, gore. Then you got to go again. You ignore the warning again. So that's a machlokes. If you say Luda Torah, so then you could just tell the purpose, you should know that this gore, sure, gored 3 times, he's a muad, and if it's going to happen again, you have to pay. Someone's going to have to pay. We'll see in a second who's going to pay. Or if you'll do the Gavra, you'll have to wait until he gets warned 3 times. So that the Gemara is not getting involved, but you do appoint apotropos that you should make him into a muad. But what does Rabbi want to gain? But you're not going to say that you're apotropos, and now if it's going to gore, you're going to have to pay. It's going to have to pay. Migufo. Because there's a kasha in the Mishnah. The Mishnah in the beginning says that the shor is potter. That means the tam is potter. So that means that there's no apotropos. Making apotropos is not going to make him pay as a tam. What is the purpose that the Mishnah says making apotropos? Just to make him into a muad. And then once he becomes a muad, then he's going to pay. And they're most happy with that answer. That was Rabbi's answer to answer the Mishnah. The Mishnah first says potter. That means you don't make an apotropos to pay for the tam. But then it says you make an apotropos to count 1, 2, 3 to make him into a muad. Then he's going to pay. Now the Gemara wants to know who's going to pay. Me'alias man. Who's going to pay? Once he becomes a mud, fine. You make him into a mud. Now he's going to pay. Who's going to pay? The choices are there's no megufa anymore. The only for the tam is there megufa. And now we said you don't appoint the apotropos to make the short pay megufa. But what do you do? Make him into a mud. Now it's not anymore on the goof of the shore. But the question is, who's going to be responsible? Is it going to be from the state of the Yisomim, or is it going to be from the state of the apotropos? Me'alias man. So machlokis. Rav Yochanan ma me'alias Yisomim. Rav Yosef Chanina ma me'alias apotropos. Machlokis. According to Rav Yochanan, it's going to be taken from the property of the Yisomim, because now there's apotropos who's in charge, and that's going to be a loss for the Yisomim. They would have rather there shouldn't be apotropos, but we have to take care of the society. There's a show going around, so we're gonna make an apotropos, and then the Yisomim are going to have to pay. He's taking on the job, and he's going to have to pay from his own money. And first, the Gemara has contradiction in Rabbi Yochanan. The Gemara really, we're going to see soon, it's like a kasha on itself. How could it be from the Aliyah Yisomim? The Gemara is not going to accept that. But we'll see in a second. The Gemara has difficulty. How come you're going to make an apotropos in order to make the Yisomim pay? But first, the Gemara has a kasha contradiction. Rabbi Yochanan. Here, Rabbi Yochanan said, "Me'aliyas Yisomim," and a contradiction in Rabbi Yochanan. Does Rabbi Yochanan say that you take money from the Yisomim, make an apotropos to make money from the Yisomim? That you don't, person doesn't get involved to take away something from the Yisomim have focus, they have debts. So maybe a Bezdin should come and get involved and take the money from the Yisomim in order to pay their debts. So it says, no, that's not Bezdin's issue with Yisomim. Wait till they grow up. That's not the Bezdin's issue. Get involved and make them pay. So Bezdin doesn't get involved with the Mechasim of the Yisomim only if they're losing out. If there's a star that they're paying ribis, and the longer you're going to wait, they're going to wait till they become a gadol. There's going to be ribis the whole time. Rashi says from a goy that there's a contract against them that the father borrowed money from a goy and he has to pay ribis. And the longer you wait, he has a mashkanta or whatever and is paying ribis. So they're losing out if you're going to wait till they become gedolim. So Bezdin gets involved in order to pay off the debt, and they shouldn't lose from the ribis. Rabbi Yochanan Amar called the shtar sheish bo ribis. I'm not sure. We didn't look it up. I'm not sure what that's referring to. That even if they're not losing right now, but it's a shtar that has rivers eventually, also Bezdin takes care of it right away in order that they shouldn't have a eventual loss. I don't know the details about that, but you see that Rabbi Yochanan's main point we're looking for is that you don't get involved to take away something from the Yisomim. Also, if the father died and they are Yisomim, there's also a wife, a widow that is owed ksuba, and until they pay the ksuba, they're paying mizonos for the almana. She gets mizonos from the state until she gets ksuba. So we're better off for the Yisomim to be able to pay up the ksuba in order that the mizonos should stop. It's also another way of saying that the Yisomim shouldn't lose. So Bezdin gets involved to take from the Yisomim in order that they shouldn't lose. But that's a Marshkasha, that's a contradiction of Yochanan, because if Yochanan said over here that you make an apotropos in order to make him into a muad, in order to collect from the Aliyas Yisomim. But the Yochanan holds himself that you don't get involved in order to take away money from the Yisomim. That's a contradiction of Yochanan. Suppose it is Kasha, the Gemara ends at April. You got the names wrong. There was machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina. Here it said Rabbi Yochanan says Me'aliyas Yisomim, and Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina was the one who said Me'aliyas apotropos. And we had a contradiction of Yochanan because he says you don't get involved with Yisomim to take away their money. So we say switch it around. Rabbi Yochanan is the one who said Me'aliyas apotropos, and Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina is the one who said Me'aliyas Yisomim. That's the Gemara's answer. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Me'aliyas apotropos, Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina Amar Me'aliyas Yisomim. So at this point, the Gemara has had a contradiction, and the Gemara answers the contradiction by switching it around. Not a contradiction. But now the Gemara says it's much more than a contradiction. There's difficulty inherently. How could anybody say that you take from the Yisomim? Nobody holds to take from the Yisomim. Even if it wouldn't be Rabbi Yochanan himself, nobody should have said such a thing, that you make up apotropos in order to take away from the Yisomim. You're going to blame it on Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina. He's the author of it. And you have no beferish contradiction between Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina. But it doesn't make sense in itself that you're going to make an apotropos in order to make the Yisomim lose. What's the higayon in there? What's the logic? It seems that the Gemara is asking from pure logic wouldn't make sense, not only because Rabbi Yochanan contradicts himself. So fine, you're miyashiv to see that he doesn't contradict himself, but you're blaming it on somebody else to say something which doesn't make sense. For Rabbi Chanina, the Gemara gives a compliment that it can't be. Rabbi Chanina is more than a regular mandama. He was a dayan and he knew the Omer Kadin. He was very deep in how he made a decision. So it can't be said a thing which is nonsense. So we have to get back to the issue. How is it possible anybody should say that is you make apotropos from the Nechsi Yisomim, and once you can have a teretz, then maybe you don't have to change it around anymore. The whole purpose we change it around is because we had a contradiction. Once we answer it, then it won't be a contradiction anymore. So we could leave it the way it was. Don't change it around. The Yochanan said Me'aliyas Yisomim. The kasha was the Yochanan says that you don't get involved in order to make the Ben Yisomim lose. Well, Mazik Shani. Mazik Shani means what? That we have to take the society into consideration. Is that the pshat? That usually we don't get involved if it's going to be an individual. But Mazik, what does Rashi say? Any Rashi? No Rashi. What are you supposed to understand? Mazik Shani means that we can't let the show go around. What do you want? You shouldn't make an apotropos. So the show is going to go hefka. No one's taking care of it. So that's why we do have to make some kind of a takana in order to watch society, to guard society. There shouldn't be a hefka show going around. Now you might say just to take care of society, so say that the apotropos should pay for it. Rabbi says you can't because you're not going to find any apotropos. The yamba me'aliyas apotropos is mimni v'lo avdi. Everybody's going to hold back. No one's going to want to be. No one's going to volunteer. You look for a volunteer, put it out in the newspaper. We need apotropos that should be take care of the shor of the yisomim, and if it's going to be mazik, you should be chayiv. Nobody's going to come forward for that. Usually apotropos does volunteer. Why? They're doing a paper for the yisomim. So
if they have no loss, they'll be
have no loss. And Tosh talks about, I noticed on the bottom, if is apotropos chayiv to pay if he doesn't do a good job. But here, it's not even for the benefit of the yisomim. It's just for somebody else. So why should somebody volunteer to be the one who's going to pay? That Pesach also holds that no one's going to volunteer if they're going to lose on it. But they are going to, he says it's enough. Say that now you pay, now apotropos should pay, and when the yisomim are going to get big, so then you'll get reimbursed from the Nechsi Yisomim. So really, everybody holds that in this case you get from the yisomim. The question is if you have to wait to get paid from the yisomim, and meanwhile the apotropos should pay, or we've made it a con you can get from the yisomim right away, and the apotropos doesn't have to lay in on any money because he's not going to volunteer to become apotropos, even if it's going to be only a temporary loss on his part. What do we have so far? The Mishnah, the way we read the Mishnah so far was that you don't make an apotropos to collect from the town. You do make an apotropos that it should become a more than pay as a more. What else did the Gemara say? What was and what's to make him with a more? It pays me aliyah. Who's aliyah? Eventually, it's going to be from the yisomim. The question is if the apotropos has to pay from his own money until the yisomim get big, or you take away from the yisomim right away. But the way we learned so far that the Mishnah said openly that is potter. The shore of the yisomim is potter, of the clan of the Kodesh is potter, and you don't make an apotropos to make him pay as a tam. The most you do is make apotropos to make him into a muad, and as long as they're still ktanim, we'll see soon if that's the end of the mission. If they become gadol, maybe the status changes. But as long as he's a tam, the owner is a katan, so you succeeded in making him into a muad, and the nizik is going to get paid. From who? The yisomim. Maybe the apotropos has to pay temporarily from his own pocket until he could get reimbursed when the yisomim get big. So we got until the third line on Amud Beis. And now the Gemara says, even though our Mishnah says one way, but you should know, man, be like a tam ligvos migufa tanoi is a machlokes tanam about this point. Our Mishnah, the way we read it, says you don't make an apotropos to collect from the shore's goof as long as he's a tam, but some hold you do. Just to stop here for a second, I didn't understand the svara that we saying the Mishnah says you don't make an apotropos to collect from the shore's gufo as long as he's a tam, but you do make apotropos in order to make them pay as a muad. Why should there be a difference? Why should there be a difference? The ktanim are potter, right? Not the ktanim, the potter. But we're concerned about society, so we make apotropos, but only that he should pay as a muad once it's done 3 times, but not to make him pay the migufo of a tam. Why should there be a difference? Why should there be a difference? That say you don't make it apotropos to make him pay as a tam migufo, but you do make apotropos to make him into a muad, and then he's going to pay nezek shomer.
So far you can still say like the Tosfos says that because if it's kicking all over the place, then it's a problem. If it just kicks once in a while, it's not enough of a reason to be Mamidim Lamapatrophis that they should have to pay.
Not because of Tam and the
So
Muad,
far.
but Etzer, not because, but because
There's a
there's
problem.
not enough reason that we didn't see a problem yet.
So
I would
when
just
it's not
think,
gonna work.
uh,
If you're
I-
gonna say for the Talmud, not for the Muad, yeah, then it's really not gonna work.
but even at this point, I would have thought that it's not a question about making him into Muad. That 1, 2, 3 is have to start counting now. 1, 2, 3. What if you know already? He go out 3 times before he go out 2 times, whatever. Before Bez they got a phone call now. Bez not getting phone calls that the show was negative. Who showed it? You saw. So we should count already how many times he did it. We see the show now. It has nothing to do with making it just to see that there's a need to do it. It wouldn't be the Hagdara of making him into a Muad. If he's a wild shore, you see there's a need. If he's a tame shore, everything's fine. He's eating his barley over there, kashinim. So yeah, leave him alone. But if he's a wild shore, so if it's not for that, then I don't understand what the difference is between a tam and a muad. How come a tam we don't get involved, and a muad we do get involved? Okay, leave it out. There's a question. Meanwhile, Nadigmar goes into this point that we do find the machlokus, even though our Mishnah says, according to what Igmar reads it, our Mishnah says that you don't make out Shabbos for a tam. But we do find the machlokas. Gemara is going to find it brisa, and after we finish learning it up, it's going to say that there's a machlokas tanam about this point. Maybe you do make an apotropos even as a tam that it should pay me gufo. The Tanya, shor shenischarshu bala v'nishtatu bala v'shalchu bala v'nisayam. L'chara means pasha the shor of a cherish. Shor shenischarshu bala, that the owner became a cherish, or the owner became a shota, or the owner is a katan. Doesn't say that. But it could have said all these cases, or that the owner is temporarily not here. It's going to talk about a It is going to talk about a katan. It's going to talk about a katan also. So, and that you can't say shorsh nase katan. So I don't know why the advice is so fancy. I don't know. The heart just means a shorsh cheshot of a katan, and also somebody you temporarily is overseas, and you have a shore. What's happening? So Yehuda ben the Kusa Amar Sumchas Arei b'Tamuso. That seems to say that you don't make him into a muad. He remains a tam until the owner is going to come. Doesn't mean the owner is going to come back from overseas, or he's going to become a pikeach, a gadol. That you can't make him into a muad, but it does say re'eh b'tamusa. Read the word simply; it says he's a tam. That the shor is a tam, and maybe it even means that he pays as a tam. That's what the words would sound like. That he's a tam. So tam pays chatzin nezek. But you can make him into a muad only if you warn the owner. That you do make him into a muad. You get an apotropos. How do you make him into a muad? You get apotropos, and then you 1 or 3 times it became a muad. So far, machlok seems to be between Sumchas and the Chachamim if you could make him into a muad. But even according to the Sumchas, he is a tam, which would sound like you do pay as a tam. And machlok if you make him into a muad. The Brisa continues. This is Pakech HaChevesh, the Shtafa Ashot, the Higdor HaKat. That's what the Pinchas meant. But the Brisa does talk about a katan, even though till now it didn't. But katan also. Cheshot of a katan. And now the status changed. That's the other case also, that the one who went overseas, he came home. Yehuda ben Nekus Amar Sumchas, which was the same Adam as before. So this doesn't make sense at this point, because we said a second ago that Sumchas said it doesn't become a muad. He does how does it say Musa, and you don't make him you don't make Achi the Bnei Bailam. So he never became a muad. These words don't make sense, because here it says that according to Sumchas, he goes back to becoming a tam. He goes back to becoming a tam because now the status changed, that his real owner is back, or the katan became a gadol, the kavish became a fikeach. So now he becomes back to becoming a tam. Achi the Bnei Bailam, until now you make him a muad again. He never became a muad, according to Yehuda ben Nekus Amar Sumchas. It mustn't take care of that. That he remains a muad. Rabbi Yossi could hold like before it said Chachamim that you make him into a muad. And it says once you made him into a muad, he remains a muad even after the status changes. But anyway, the Gemara now is going to analyze that if Yehuda ben Nekus Amar Sumchas doesn't make sense. Amru, that should be Amri or something like that. What? Amri. After Aleph, and okay, till I find Aleph, so that's what it says. Amri. Why what does the words mean? These words, let's underline these words. Here was these words. Simcha said in the first case that the owner is a chesed of a katan, the shor is a tam. What do those words mean? Even with Lomi Aikla, the way we learned that, it means it doesn't become a muad. You need him to be a tam. But more than that's what we asked also. As we the Bryce, it doesn't make sense because the Bryce goes in the Sefer says that it goes back to becoming a tam. If you say that he go when the owner comes back, when the katan becomes a gadol, so he goes back to becoming a tam, that means that till they came back, till the status changed, he was a muad. But you said Simcha says he doesn't become a muad. Elamai Rebetamuso, Muso, a different word, that he remains in his completeness, which Rashi says means, or the Gemara, you don't take away anything from the guf. There's another way of saying that he's potter. He's potter. Not that he's only a tam and you don't make him into a muad. That's what the words would mean. Rebetamuso. You leave him as a tam. No, Rebetamuso. You leave him whole. How do you leave him whole? That you make sure you don't take away any of its value. You don't take away part of its guf. You don't pay it all. So it's another way of saying that the tam doesn't pay. If that's what it says, Alma, if that's Shan the Sumchas, Alma, that's another way of saying that the tam doesn't pay. So you don't make an apotropos to make him pay as a tam, which is the same as our Mishnah. That's how we know our Mishnah. Our Mishnah also says, Ein Mamidin. So that is beferish. That's even without any addition. That's what it said over here, make him into a muad. It says in the Brisa, what did it say? Which means to make him. Oh no good. Fine, no good. The words itself would have meant everything only because of the Gemara's shot. Everything changes over. The simple words would have meant: is he a tam or to make him into a muad? And that would make sense. That would make sense. That would be a machlokes if machlokes about making a time. Everybody else is a and the both opinions would have been against our Mishnah. The Gemara could have done that also. The Gemara really could have left the price as it is, and both of them are going to be. In our Mishnah, we have already somebody that holds ein mamid and apotropos for a time, and this price everybody would hold mamid and apotropos. And the question is, do you make him into a muad? Well, the only a tam, not a muad. But the Gemara didn't like it because of the contradiction, and couldn't say that because of the contradiction in Sumchas. So the Gemara comes out that Sumchas holds ein mamidin for a tam, same as our Mishnah, and the Chachamim say mamid apotropos must mean to make it even as a tam.
It can't be just to make it a muad.
Why?
It would have been a kusa there.
No,
The kusa also said that it makes him a muad. Though he becomes a muad.
no, he doesn't. Oh,
He
because he
says
has
he
chazal
becomes
tamuso.
He also holds that
So it's
it
interesting. In the beginning, he says muso. That means what? What do the words mean? What is? I'm sorry.
That becomes tam again.
In the beginning, at the beginning, the case was that's your case is here. Where is that? Chazal tamuso. The chazal tamuso means that it becomes again a tam. But the ratio is talking about not going down, not going back, not chazor, not retracting, but becoming. So here, this shore is no owner, no responsible owners around. So when Yehuda says a very bit tamuso, which would have meant that he doesn't become a muad, but he can't say that because later on he says chazal tamuso means he did become a muad. So what are the words of Rebbe tamuso means? The Gemara says he doesn't pay at all. It doesn't pay even between musa. You don't pay at all, even as a tam. He doesn't have to pay at all. Nothing. And the Chachamim say
for what?
must be for a tam.
It doesn't mean to become a muad. Everyone agrees that it becomes a muad.
And you only know that for the next one. Chazal tamuso becomes a muad. So we have to invent that this is the machlokas in the ratio. That some holds that he does not. You don't pay as a tam. He also holds you warn 3 times to make him into a muad, but you don't make him pay as a tam. You make apotropos only to count 1, 2, 3, and then he'll pay as a muad. But you don't make him pay for the negichas he's going to do as a tam. And the Chachamim say you do, even though the words are difficult. Mamid apotropos, so even ben b'fnei apotropos really it means mamid apotropos, and he pays as a tam. How do you fit into the words? I don't know. Even ben b'fnei apotropos doesn't mean to make him into a muad. It means
On the hezek now to be goyfer. Not to be made. Usually muad means
with the warning. By the time you don't say warn, you say pay. So I'll make a shot. I didn't see if it actually says it. Period. And he pays. Now everybody holds up. Maybe. But anyway, the Gemara is happy to say we found the machlokes. If you make an apotropos to pay as a tam, not that the apotropos is going to pay, there's only megufa, but you make an apotropos to make the shorchai as a tam. And the Gemara is happy with this. And that's finished. another 2 lines about the sefer.
So now we're,
Now we finished. We found a
how
machlokes.
Mishnah said that one.
Ain't no meeting up Shabbos for a time.
Everyone agrees to that?
There's
Now
only one Mishnah, yeah. There only was a Mishnah that you make in a muad, you make him a muad. On Mishnah, back to our Mishnah.
Says he's potter. What's
He's
he potter?
potter, yeah, that
He's already given this up. So there's up. He's still potter as a time.
Tam. And what? Yes, you make him into a muad. And then machlokes, if he changes status when he becomes a gadol, we also can have the machlokes right away. Machlokes if he changes status when he becomes a gadol. But our Mishnah has only one opinion as far as the beginning, that you don't make an apotropos for a tam. You do make an apotropos to count 1, 2, 3, make him pay to a muad.
Could have been a tusa.
That what you don't make that you don't. According to this, you don't pay for a tam, and you do right.
Chachamim say
You make him even a tam. You pay even as a tam. I pay even as a tam. So what's that over here? So let's get up to place now. Nothing more. Let's go to the sefer, which the Gemara could have talked about our Mishnah also. These next 2, 3 lines, sefer b'ma'akavifliki is mamish same as our Mishnah. That when he becomes a gadol, does he go back to tamusa or not? Our Mishnah said machlokas are Meir and Rabbi Yossi, and here it says a machlokas between Samachas and Rabbi Yossi. Mishas mashani kibenayu. Does the change of ownership change the status back to a tam or not? You made him a more than one owner, and now it goes to somebody else. Some because somebody was talking Mishas mashana, same as Meir and our Mishnah. Everybody says Mishas ain't a mashana, and therefore Rabbi Yossi. And I think someone said over here that it's any case that whenever somebody had a shor that's a muad, I just saw my notes, probably it's on the page, Rashi Tosfos, that he had an owner that ignored the warning 3 times, the shor became a muad. Okay, they didn't kill, it's not killing, he's not killing anybody, he's damaging, you don't make him kill the shor yet, and he sold it. So now the new owner, did he buy a shor muad, or did he buy maybe Rishus Mashana? If he owed Rishus Mashana, so maybe now I didn't, this a time again maybe. So maybe it's telling you this machlokes. That Simcha says Rishus Mashana, versus says Rishus Eina Mashana. If that's good, so we go back to Tana Abanan.
It's machlokes Rashi and Tosfos.
I just wrote that. I said that they probably talked it on the page over here about Rishus Mashana. What did I write over here?
How are we going to pass that? I just want to figure it out. Rishus Mashana means that it does change, right?
And he comes to Tam again.
Our Mishnah also says that.
The machlokes are Meir Rabbi Yossi in our Mishnah. I read my notes over here. Ein machlokas and b'tzir zel levad dela bofen klali v'shus mishana dino also negei im la'achar shelisyai deitzel Ruben mochro and his son u'b'matana l'shimon ha'im adayin din nu'ud yeshlo eisel shimon or not. Lahalacha ein Rambam this came moment the after linyan mecher matana pasuk to v'shus mishana, and if somebody sold a shamua, it becomes now back to be a short tam. Linyan apotropos pasuk Rabbi Yossi that he's a b'chaskasa, and the v'shus apotropos next up to v'shus b'aylam. That you don't say that apotropos is somebody else. So dafka over here. So I don't know how he learns that. If he learns that's not totally, maybe he says not totally the regular machlokes. But as far as the halacha, we pass like Rabbi Yossi over here that the apotropos is considered the bailam when the bailam comes back from Medina Sayam where the gold grows up. So it still remains a more the Rebbe Chaskasa. But if somebody sells the shore, gives it a present, so in the new Rishus it's called Rishus Mashana, and it goes back to become a tam again.
I just see that the Mikvah already says I am Ba'asogis u'B'Magid Mishnah. Okay.
There's what to talk about. There's what to talk about. Okay, so what to talk about? There's a shor of katan, whatever, and the issue is making for sure a katan is part and ein mal daber. The 2 sugis you can talk about, or 3 sugis to talk about is you're making up a apotropos to pay as a tam, migufo, which found the machlokes to know about that. Are you gonna make him a apotropos to count into a muad?
Everyone says that, yeah.
And everyone says that yes. And the question will be only you could collect from the. We thought not in the way we read it, right? And the machlokes was Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Chanina. If you collect from the nechsi, you sum him right away, or we make an apotropos to lay out the money until he can get reimbursed when the katan is going to get big. And just that once the status changes back to the katan shehigdel, etc. So does it change the back to a tam again? Fascinating. Tanya Rabbanan. Shor cheresh shor tefekatan shenagach Rav Yaakov b'shalom chasin nezer. That's the brisa. Fascinating. A shor cheresh shor tefekatan, that word, Rav Yaakov is chasin nezer. So even though we also we figured out on our own that Rabbi Yaakov didn't do anything?
With the coffee, one of scones.
What is there?
It's very short. So it's
Uh-huh.
Homer.
So here, these are the word Omer. But the Gemara looks at it. Well, I never saw something like this. Rabbi Yaakov pays Chazinesik. What Rabbi Yaakov do? Rabbi Yaakov might have Why should Rabbi Yaakov pay Chazinesik? He didn't do it. Rabbi Yaakov Omer. Put in the word Omer. It's missing. Okay, that's what we thought also. That Ashor Chesed the Bekatan has to pay Chazinesik. Rebecca has to pay. How can you pay Chazinesik? Chesed the Bekatan for sure, Spotter. Why should he have to? Shor Chesed the Bekatan has to pay. The Ma'askina Ibetam Shita. So of course you have to talk about an apotropos, no question, right? Of course the Chesed doesn't have to pay, he's a putter. So of course it's talking about an apotropos. So what does Rabbi Yaakov mean to say? That he pays Chazinesik, that tam, you make an apotropos to pay Chazinesik as a tam, which became before, he just says, so Rabbi Yaakov has an opinion, and he says that you pay Chazinesik. So the Gemara's not happy. He just should have said Rebbe says Chayim.
Let's put that in. But you have a very good title to this discussion.
That it means to say.
You know why Yaakov says there's a chime? We didn't think though. You don't pay Chazinesik. You know why Yaakov says Chazinesik? Amishne doesn't only pay Chazinesik.
Right. At most, you make a purpose that you count 3 times and then you make a penance shalom. But you don't pay Chazinesik. Rebbe says Chazinesik also. So what are you saying?
So
that's a nice shot.
But you should just say Rabbi Yaakov Machayev.
But Machayev is not enough because maybe Machayev means Nezek Shalom. Like you just said. It's not Chayev yet. He said, I mean, it's to count. You have to start counting. Okay.
Chayev means he has to pay. So that's really the kasha.
That is true. And just say Chayev. Don't say if Yaakov says Chazinezek. If Yaakov should have said, Misham says he has to pay. Why should he pay? Of course, Chazinezek, like anybody. Even Muad, and buy a Muad. So that's why he pays. A pay Muad pays Chazinezek. Never heard such a thing. If someone show Muad and he says he pays Chazinezek, what kind of thing is that? Since when does a Muad pay Chazinezek? One of Shach. Either Abdullah Shmira, Klalo, by Shlumi. If he watched the shore, means Apotropos, watch the shore. Or the kota, whatever, they wash the shore, so then you have to pay anything. Either law of Shmira Mula, Shmira, so Kulinezek boy Shlume, either everything or nothing. No such thing as that. A Sham would pay half Nezek, it doesn't make sense. So we have to figure out Pshat in this Brisa, just to highlight it, what the words are over here, to get the Brisa. Sure. Rabbi Yaakov, Omer, okay, we'll put it ready with the Gemara's addition. Rabbi Yaakov, Omer, Misham Chazinezek. This is the Brisa, and what does it mean? Of course, it has apotropos. I'm not so sure I don't do anything. And it's talking about a time, it should have just said Chayiv, and we know that it means Chazinezek. If it's a Muad, so Shpen Nezek Shalem. That's the most question. So Rabbi is going to come to explain. I'm a Rabbi. The Olam the Muad. And the Muad is going to pay Chazinezek. How do you figure that out? Talk of my skina, the Abdi Shmir Pchusa, the Abdi Shmir Mula. And let's read the whole thing and then we'll go back. Rabbi Yaakov Savalak Rabbi Yuda, Tamar Tzat Tamas and Komo Medes. The Savalak Rabbi Yuda, Tamar Muad Tzaki Levi Shmir Pchusa. The Savalak Rabbi Bonan, the Amri Mabina Patropos, the Tam Ligmas Migupa. So 3 ingredients. The Gemara says 3 Vesavalas. I'm trying to try also just to focus on that. There's 3 Savalas. Savala 1 and Savala 2. And Savala 3. The case is going to be that he watched it a little bit. Shmir Pchusa. So this we have to have an introduction which came up a couple of days ago. That surprisingly, which I don't know the answer to the surprise, that a Mushar Muad could be put there more than a short time. That if someone did a minimal shmira, which we have to see later on what's that called, a minimal shmira Pchusa. So it's enough to pater him from the payment of a Muad. A Muad is pater if you watch it a little bit. I would have thought the opposite. That a tam, tame, little, whatever, it's been pretty tame till now. So then you're responsible to watch it a shmira Mula, a very good shmira. But a minimal shmir is not enough. He said, I watched it or whatever. I don't know what the shmir Pchusa is going to be. But that's not enough to guard a short time. But if a shamur, it is good enough. So I don't understand.
If it's showing, it's good enough. You can't.
But
It's showing if you watched it a little.
But the chorah means, at this point, I would say that it means if you did have a shamur, then you watched it a shmir Pchusa, you don't pay anything. But you're saying true. But in the words, it doesn't say that so far. A short muad is part with a shmir Pchusa. And a short time is chayiv with a shmir Pchusa. So I don't get it. But just for for this Gemara, maybe we don't need more. We have to accept it later on. We'll get to the sugya. We said a couple of days ago, the Gemara brought this as an example that it can be more machmer in the shor tam than the shor muad. Okay, we'll take it as a given, even though I don't understand. If anybody has what to say, please. But here, that's the case over here that he did a shmir pchusa, he didn't do a shmir muad. And now we're going to have three ingredients to figure out Rabbi Yaakov's words. First of all, that's a machlokes. When a shor becomes a muad, does he forget? He loses this tam status completely, or every muad is a tam plus. So whenever the Gemara makes this cheshbonos, it means that half of the payment you have to pay as a shalom, but half of the payment is coming mitzad tam, and the other half of the payment is coming mitzad muad. When you go to the cashier to pay, you go to the muad cashier and pay the whole thing, or you go first to the tam. Even the muad also goes to the tam cashier, so to speak, and then you go to the muad to pay the other half. Is it considered two half payments, or is it considered one payment for the whole thing? So Rabbi says that even a muad still retains half of it to be a tam. There are other ramifications also. That's one ingredient. Rabbi holds that the muad is enough minimal shmir, which we said a second ago. That's a vivre, and putting these two things together, that means that when he did a shmir pchusa, if you don't hold tzad tamas mekom omedes, that means it became a new bria called a muad, and a muad is enough to be a shmir pchusa. It means you don't pay anything. A muad that had a shmir pchusa, you don't pay anything. But you put these two things together, so you don't pay on the shmir pchusa. You put it from paying the additional half that became because of the muad. But the original tzad tamas, you still shmir pchusa is not good enough. So you're going to pay for the tam and not for the muad. And here talking about sherish choshet of a katan. So that's only if you have an apotropos that's involved. In order to save shot in these words of Rabbi Yaakov that choshet of a katan shanaga pays chatzi nezek, you have to have three ingredients. First of all, you have to say that he holds like Rabbi Rabbana that Rabbi apotropos for a time to pay chatzi nezek. This was really a muad already. This is really a muad. I'm getting confused. This is a muad, but the whole tzad tamas in Komo Medes. That's something that's blue. You're paying for the chatzi tam.
Paying for the tamas because you made a shmir pchusa, so you lost. You don't have to pay for the muadis.
Yes.
The second half you don't have to pay for because you made a shmir pchusa.
Yes, but those two are enough. Why do we have to say? And he also.
Because they cannot collect from the apotropos. What are you saying?
I wasn't reading apotropos l'tam. Now he's a muad. Now he's a muad. I was mamid to become a muad. So what are you going to say? If anyone beat apotropos,
No, the muad part is cluttered.
the muad part is I'm paying for the tam. But you want to know where's the apotropos over here? Anyone beat apotropos l'tam. This guy's a muad. It's already the fifth time. It's the fourth time. So I'm a little
because
you didn't make an apotropos the first three times. You just count. You didn't pay for the first three times, but now that it's the fourth time, you're also not going to pay for the, and the fourth time, you're also not going to pay for the migufa because ain't no midah apotropos l'tam migvas migufa. That's it's more of a chiddush to me already. Yeah, but what if you hold eight mamid? What if you hold eight mamid? You hold the first two things, you don't hold the third thing.
So you're not going to collect for the tam either.
Why not? Because they might be apotropos. It's already the fourth time.
You're more parties.
But I want it right. But you're going to say, I'm not going to pay for the tam because anybody didn't have apotropos for the tam. But I wasn't having apotropos to count 1, 2, 3, and I was ready 4.
Yeah, but he's only paying mitzvah tam.
Okay. Okay. I don't see why that's totally an ain't apotropos because there is an apotropos. Ain't apotropos means that when you can't invite,
can't be goiva.
you can't even be goiva. So I'm
Can't
not.
take from the apotropos the tam part.
Let's go back.
What's going to be by every germ wood? Germ wood that you take from the apotropos. So you're going to take the second half.
That's what it says. That's what he says here. So it really goes back to the beginning that I said I don't know what the svara is that you should be mamad apotropos for more, not for a tam. Whatever svara, maybe it's going to help us that even when he's really a more, they were mamad apotropos, but still for the chatzi tam you're not going to. So I don't really get it, but the Gemara is happy. The cheshbon works that to say Rabbi Yaakov says for a cheresh shor cheresh of v'katan shenogach mishalem chatzi nezek. The case is that you're paying for the chatzi tam. He's a muad. You're paying only for the chatzi tam because the part of the muad is off because he did a shmir pchusa, and that's why the half of the muad is off. But you're still paying for the chatzi tam because satam is mkom medes and amid apotropos l'tam.
So it could be a tam and muad.
every muad is really a chatzitam. Every muad, if you hold satam as Makom Medes, every muad is still a chatzitam. It's going to be relevant to other things also. I don't recall the Gemaras, but if you hold like this, that means that even when you pay a muad, it was worth $100 the shore, and it was mazik $500. So now it's a muad already. So you should pay $500. That's a shalom. No, half of it is $250. So on that you pay $250 as a town, but there's only megufo, so it's a cap, not pay more than its full value. So it's only worth $100, and the other $250 is a muad. So altogether you get $350. That's a chiddush. That even when you have a muad, it doesn't say you're all a muad. You're half a tam and half a muad. So this has other ramifications also. So very big chiddush. But every muad is half a tam still. That's called sat tamas and come with this. I don't. We'll have sugis later on where it talks about it. We didn't get the ikka sugya. But in order to get our Gemara, the Gemara had to put these three ingredients together.
Well, really, what the Gemara wanted to get to was back to the beginning that Mamidim Apotropos
For a town, and that
this whole day,
brought us back.
you could have really just said, Mishalom Chatzinezek. What's Chatzinezek? It's a tam. Mishalom Chatzinezek, so you see that Mamidim Apotropos.
That's what you said before, and you said no.
But the Gemara wasn't happy.
Right? Why weren't you
Why
happy?
you just say the name Machai?
Right.
Machai.
And now the Gemara is happy. Why is the Gemara happier
The
now?
Gemara figured out why Machai wouldn't tell you, because really it's a mood, which doesn't pay for a mood, because it made a shmir pulls up, and it still pays for the tam. So basically, we're getting back to square one.
That it pays
Yeah,
for the
that's
Chatzinezek because Mamit Tam,
But it's not
Mamit and Chatzitam.
right.
But it's not simple. That
It's
you
not
could have said
simple. So
Machai.
just to answer the bride, or maybe just to answer the bride.
To answer why the
Yeah,
Brisa
no,
said it this way.
Right, but back, if we would be going again, Echon Matzino Tana that says Mefurish that the Tam Mamidin Apotropos for the time, we could have brought this of Yaakov
Mhm.
without getting mixed up.
Right. L'chora. And there the buyer doesn't like this shot. You, in order to say this shot, you would have to say that Iraq was like Rabbi Yehuda. It happens to be two out of three is Rabbi Yehuda. Some of them Rabbi Yehuda, and again some of them Rabbi Yehuda. He also Rabbi Yehuda, and then the some of them also Rabbanan about Rabbi Yehuda Apotropos. But Abai says that's not true. I'm going to show you that Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yaakov are not on the same page. But Rabbi Yaakov and Yehuda don't argue. I would have thought that the Gemara would say, like that's the regular ways the Gemara would have said. But Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda Mechayev, Rabbi Yaakov Machazin Ezek Mishalim. So take out the beginning and the end of what we had before. That I show I'm making it yellow again just to see what we had before, and now a little bit contrasting. This is also before but here it says in Fesh, Rabbi Yehuda Mechayev. So you can't tell Rabbi Yaakov holds like Chazin Ezek because he holds like Rabbi Yehuda and everything. Because Rabbi Yehuda himself didn't hold like Rabbi Yehuda. It can't be. So you see that Rabbi Yaakov is not like Rabbi Yehuda, so your pshat is not good. We just came to explain it. That they're not arguing. Rabbi Yaakov's come to explain it. We said Mechayev. He means to say Chazin Ezek, and Rabbi's pshat is good.
And it was a mood which you made a shmir.
Amur, that Chatzim Tam Come this, and what else you have over there? Shmir Pchusa. The whole Torah is still true, but Yaakov had to explain it. But Abai didn't like this pshat. So the one says, Abai, what are you going to say? How are you going to explain the Brisa? Well, Abai, Dama Pligi, from my Pligi, how are you going to explain Rabbi Yaakov's din? Amalachad, Achamay Eskina b'muad, also b'muad. The low not very cloud. Not that he did Shmir Pchusa, he didn't watch it at all. So of course you're chayiv. What are you chayiv for? That's the question now. What are you chayiv? Every mood, what are you chayiv for? It could be that for a mood you chayiv half a time and half a mood. That he does agree. Before we had over here, they made three. So now the Gemara is going to say, I do hold like him. Which one is that? I missed it one more.
Shmir Pchusa now. Taking away the whole Shmir Pchusa.
He does agree like that. He does agree like Rabbi than that. But he argues about Mabidin Apotropos. If Allah Galei B'chada, he Rabbi the Sava Mabidin Apotropos. The time that goes Megufo. Yeah, Yaakov Sava ain't Mabidin. I got to. I missed the words over here. So we had. Where do you say Rabbi about? Mabidin Apotropos was also. Rabbi was involved in that also. Rabbi said an opinion about Mabidin Apotropos. I don't remember that we learned that today.
But in order to say that you pay Chatzinez, first you had to say that.
Got to say what?
So I'm using the Apotropos for the.
Yeah, but not Rabbi Yehuda. So we didn't have. We have opinion. We know two opinions with baby. She holds Satamas and Kama Medes, and he holds Shmir Pchusa. Here, this is not relevant. This is
Now,
not.
now we know that Yehuda holds that because Yehuda is Mechayev to pay the whole thing, right? By a kotel. We just said it. Yehuda Mechayev. Yaakov says Chatzi.
What's going to be
He's
Mechayev?
explaining what's the Mechayev. The Chatzi is the Chatzi of the mood. That everyone agrees. What's the Machlekes? Machlekes is on the Chatzi Atam. That Yehuda is Mechayev to pay the Chatzi Tam, and Yaakov's Patas to pay the Chatzi Tam. What's the Machlekes? Because if Yehuda holds that you're Mamidim Apostropos to pay the Tam, and Yaakov holds now.
So this one is going to be erased first of all because it's not relevant. We're not talking about Shmir Pchusa. He didn't do a Shmir at all. According to this new Pshat of Abaya, he didn't do a Shmir Pchusa. But this is the case here. This is Shmir Abdi this all this is crossed out. So you don't need the Shav Yud. So sometimes the Golan Medes he does hold them. Everybody holds it in. Rabbi Yaakov read on the same page. Both of them hold every more as a half a time. Here we had a Rabbanan that said Rabbi Yaakov. We didn't know what Rabbi holds about that. But now, in order to explain the Brisa, Rabbi Yaakov says Chayim, Nezek Sholem, and Rabbi Yaakov says Chatzi Nezek. We have to say Rabbi Yaakov holds that you do pay for the Chatzi Tam, and Rabbi Yaakov is going to be the one that says you don't pay for the Chatzi Tam. So Mamash opposite of what we would have said. We would have said Rabbi Yaakov holds you pay for the Chatzi Tam. So now we said that's much Pshat in the Brisa. Rabbi Yaakov says you do pay for the Chatzi Tam. Now we're saying on the contrary, you also don't pay for the Chatzi Tam. And what are you going to pay for? Only for the Chatzi Muad. Very.
Yaakov says Mishal Chatzi Nezek.
He meant the Chatzi Nezek of the Muad.
Not the Tam.
Not the Tam. Very hard. Here's a go. This Abayi's Pshat. Where does it go? Muad alone after cloud. The shore is a Muad. Again, a shore, Chereshet of a cotton, there's a Muad. And he didn't wash it at all. Who didn't wash it? The Apotropos, of course.
Didn't watch it. Say right away that of course
So
you
you have
pay
to
for the whole
pay.
thing.
You have
Now
to
the
pay.
mood, and we just said that by a mood everyone holds
But
it
you
as a
pay.
propos.
So since you say that bit more is a Chatzitam, so we're going to go into the point: does you pay for a Chatzitam? Rabbi Yaakov said, "Like Rabbi Yehuda b'chada, parkalei b'chada." One thing he does agree, one thing he disagrees. So like Rabbi Yehuda b'chada, the Rabbi Yehuda sabat satams and Kamma Medes, and he agrees to that. Everybody holds. Both of you then Rabbi Yaakov both of them hold. Every time is half a more. But parkalei b'chada, the Rabbi Yehuda sabat mamidim ababachapos something was begufa that you pay also for the half a time. So you get nezek sholem because you pay for the half a more and you pay for the half a time.
Wouldn't that be 3/4?
No, why?
When you pay Chatzi time, you're paying Chatzi.
Every more is a half a time. So how much does time pay? Half. How much does more pay? The extra half.
I would have thought that for the Chatzi mood, you pay for a Chatzi time, you're paying Chatzi.
No, Chatzi time means that the shore is half a time.
Right.
The time pays Chatzi Nezek.
Chatzi Nezek
But
for the
it's
whole
not
group.
because
Okay, the guy you saying it?
has
No, maybe I'm misunderstanding.
It's not Chatzi time, Chatzi mood. We also
the half of the time pays full
the half
because
of the mood.
you're only charging half the thing.
Chatzi Nezek. Chatzi
So, because you say that Behema is half time and the other half is not a mood yet, let's say, right?
Yes.
So only half the Behema has to pay. But everyone knows that the time pays Chatzi Nezek. So how much does it pay? A half or a quarter?
I missed it.
Only half the Behema has to pay.
You don't want a mood? That's
It's not half
In the
time.
pounds.
in the Tammuz. Now I guess
In the mood,
every mood is half a time. Is every mood
Half a time. How much does the time have to pay?
It's not a half a time.
Right, he's also a time.
Also, he also has he still has the dinam of the time. The mood also has dinam of the time.
half of it. For Chatzi Nezek. For Chatzi Nezek. Go ahead.
That the Chetzinezek is going to be equal full. And it has the dinam of the time.
What am I missing? What's the kasha? What's the teretz?
It could have been a mistake that if you're going to make him, only half of him has to pay, right? Because he's Chatzi Tam, that's what we're talking about. The Tam only pays half, and he only pays Chatzi Nezek. So from that half, it could have been a tzad, he only pay half of that.
It's like two shvorim that were mazik,
And
and
the mood,
I only have to
you
pay
have
half.
a quarter and 3/4.
But that's not what we
But
mean.
it's a mistake because
We're talking
about the either the half a time pays the whole or the whole payment pays the half.
Like I have to let it soak. Have to the new insight. Have to. So the one makes machlokes out of it. What do you have? Rabbi holds you pay for the Chatzi Tam also. So that's how you get nezek sholem. Rabbi Yaakov said, "Ain't no midah." What Mamish, what Pinchas pointed out that the pashtan Rabbi Yaakov would have been that he holds mamidah, which happens for the Chatzi nezek. And Chatzi nezek means pashtan the Chatzi nezek of a tam. No one says no. That ain't no midah, and therefore lo mishal mal pal the mood. You only pay for the mood half. Mamish unbelievable.
And over here for sure you're gonna say, Lo Ivanti, he's already a sure mood. That's why we made him apotropos.
And you say,
And
maybe
if
you're
you
gonna
don't pay.
Yeah, okay.
עכשיו הוא כבר מוכן.
Even the trumpets don't apply to a tongue.
So that's like a very,
It's not like don't.
he's a shy guy. He never really kicked. So we're not. He's a kicker. He's a real shermood, but still gonna say from the other half you don't take. It's
And you don't make apotropos for that. That whole like the alumnus of apotropos. This pshat of our Bible that's finished saying, okay, Ella Lerava Dama Lo Pligi, Adamukla Bamuad, Nukla Batam. What did Rabba do? We go back to Rabba's pshat. He made that there are three sub-laws that did a Shmir Pchusa, and what did the Shmir Pchusa do? He made him into a Muad, and then the Shmir Pchusa he said, okay, so you don't have to pay for the Muad half, and you're left only with the issue about the apotropos for the half of the town. So why make such a fancy case that he's a Muad, and then he did a Shmir Pchusa, so he part of it half in a Muad? Why not? And what does it boil down to? Just to say, I mean, apotropos to Tam. So this was the question originally. Talk about the Tam. Either and he didn't do it a shmira. We'll talk about a Tam. He didn't do a shmira. Whatever the shmira means, whatever kind of shmira you have to do, he didn't do a shmira. And you pay for a Tam, which is really the question we said the whole time. That was the talk. Say that Yaakov was talking about a short Tam. Do you make apotropos for a short Tam to pay chasinezek? That's what you're boiling down to anyway. And say they didn't do a shmira. What's the case? Either Rabbi Yehuda Davar Shmira B'chusa V'lo Shmira Mula, and that's why you're Rabbi Yehuda Chayiv for a Thomas Chayiv for a Shmira B'chusa. So you didn't do a Shmira B'chusa. Oh, even what is it? If you did a Shmira B'chusa, doesn't help you. It means you didn't do a good enough Shmira, whatever the case is. I'll put all this in parentheses if you want. It's not the point. It means he didn't do a Shmira. And either Rabbi Ben Yaakov the law of the Shmira Klal because he holds that a Shmira B'chusa is good enough. All this is not relevant. The Tanya of Ben Yaakov Omer. Let's put all this in parentheses. In the case you could just translate all these four lines that it means he didn't do a shmira. That's what we said the whole time. Say pshat in the brisa, which is really the kasha that Pilcha said the whole time. That say it's talking about a short time, and you pay chasinezek because he says mamid apotropos like gufo, the chan tam was megufo. And why do you have to have what you call, backwards? He's a muad that did the shmir pchusa, so you're not paying, and it gets sometimes in come on. So you did plus and then a minus again. You got back to the same thing. You did 1 + 1 - 1. So just talk about the one. Talk from Mashma Biakov, the Amida Vachapos. Amalei Hachi Kama Chada the Ispa. I didn't read this yet, so I'm reading it together for the first time. Chada the Ispa Tarti time. What's the answer?
I'm saying, trying to figure that out.
I did read it. I forgot I read it before I'm preparing. That Rava just wants to tell you this. Rava knows that Rabbi Yaakov holds like Abuda as far as Shmir Pchusa. So he wanted to tell you. He wanted to tell you that Rabbi Yaakov holds that Shmir Pchusa is enough for a muad. Is that the pshat? Obviously, the Rabbi Yehuda, the kulus for Lehachi. Well, the Yukma Rabba Bemua the Shmir Pchusa the Mashma Mina this the Rabbi Yehuda the second the Sad Muadas Shmir Pchusa. Only at Sad Thomas and Chama Megas. Okay, only they lost like Shmir Pchusa. I think the Rashi is saying that he wanted to tell you a pshat that's going to include both kedushin because he knows that it's true. Rabba knows that Rabba knows that Rabbi Yaakov holds like Rabbi Yehuda. I don't know how he knows. And therefore he said a pshat that's going to include all the kedushin.
Didn't we ask this kasha before? And we said then it should not say Yaakov Nachayev.
There was a
Actually said that you can't learn the price like this because it's too simple.
and after all Rabba did, you say he still should have said simple. And he's saying now the kasha now the Gemara is asking the kasha.
This is the answer to you. You said how did the Rabba know?
What's the answer? Because
You should have just said the Yaakov Nachayev. If you said Nachayev Chatinezek, you meant even in a Kiddush case.
which is what the Gemara meant the whole time. Just didn't tell us. It didn't speak it out until now.
Okay.
If you know, it's just Mishani Gibenayo. If you go on the other mood, when it's Pakech, Chemish, when it's Tafa Shota, Bigla Kotan, Buda Sabra, Bechaskosa, Yaakov Saba, it's just Mishani. What is going on? What's coming to answer? He's coming to answer. We had already a Rabba and a Baya, and now it's a loop shot. The Venus is going to be a loop shot.
The Yehuda says that what you pay the whole thing. The Yaakov says you pay Chatinezek.
What's the question? In a case
Well,
where
the-
the status change,
Back.
does go back to it? So we had the machlokas before in the Mishnah and the Brisa. We had this machlokas about going back to the original Rishus Mishana or not, and he's plugging it into machlokas between Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda. That Rabbi Yehuda saw Rabbi Cheskaso, and therefore he pays as a shalom. Rabbi Yaakov saw Rishus Mishana, like those that say that it goes chazal tamusa. Okay, that was all to explain the Brisa of Rabbi Yaakov Mishalim.
Mechayev means after he became a gadol.
He still plays Nezek Shalom
Yaakov Mechatzi Nezek Mishalim
because
once he became a gadol, he comes back into the house.
because of the Talmud. So, okay.
It's material. Like how someone's supposed to know.
Rabbi Yaakov Mishalim, Rabbi Yaakov Mishalim Chatzi Nezek. Over there, there's probably going to be a sister to her also, and Rabbi Yaakov Mishalim Chatzi Nezek. What did Rabbi Yaakov do? Okay. Okay. What do we have? How many issues were today? Katan is Sholi Pata. There's an issue if you make apotropos to pay as we pay Migufa, and it comes to Machlokas Tanam about that, even though there's only one opinion. Then there's
Everyone knows that you make up a trouble.
to make him into a muad as long as he's still a katan. And just point out that at that point, there has to be a window, footnote, that maybe it's Atamas Mukom on this.
Okay.
So whatever the Machlokas was by a tam is relevant even to the muad. Everyone else make him into a muad, but maybe a muad is still a half a tam. So you have to have that window over there. And then
Comes back a gadol, Shini Rishus.
just Mishana and also we touched upon the Shmir Pchusa, maybe it's good for a muad. All kinds of nice things on the sun. That's your koch.
Yeah. I think still the biggest finish.